You know, I've been doing these OCG meta reports for a while, but I gotta tell you, this one is the craziest one of them all. You have to check out these decks. Welcome to another episode of the OCG meta report. Every week, we go deep into the Konami database and show you the hottest decks and the builds that the OCG players are building and playing, so you are much more aware of what's going on in the future of the Yu-Gi-Oh! TCG. Before we begin, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel if you like this type of content. And today, honestly, when I was making this, going through the database, as I usually do every week to find the spiciest decks, I was impressed at what the OCG players are doing. There's a lot of new decks. There's a new ban list that went into effect on April 1st, which was yesterday, basically. And today we're going to look at how the OCG metagame looks like with 3 new decks that were just released, and of course, the existing powerhouse decks. And we're starting off with one of them, Dormouse, Malice. Malice Dormouse has been limited to 1 in the recent ban list. And additionally, of course, there was a shifter ban. So as you can see, no longer playing it, at least not in the main deck. But, you know, I think that I've said this on Twitter before or in a previous video that it's not the worst hit that Malice could have taken. Still, the names, there's not even Bestials here, right? But the names, the Underground, and of course, Goldsock are all starters. Terraforming is still legal. They're playing Silent Mining, and also I Meet You, which is probably searching either a Cybers monster, but also guaranteed to search up the Ignister monsters, which are extenders to the deck, at the very least. But again, with 9 names, right? They're not even maximizing on Cheshire Cat, and there's a lure that they're not playing. So you could be a lot more consistent, but still, I mean, this is looking good. They do have Apollosa. They do play Transcode Talker. I've been tinkering with the deck a little bit, and Transcode really helps play around like Nibiru lines, which is really good. So Cyber's Wicked gets you to the backup Ignister engine, and of course, Appaloosa Firewall and the new Access Code Talker at Ignister. This deck is pretty sick, and again, yeah, we have the 1 shifter in the side deck, so yeah, this was a nerf, but I think Malice is still very, very good, and it's showing right now in the OCG, the other meta reports. Now, this is going to be how they might play Ryzeal in the future, right? Heraldic Beasts, also released in Alliance Inside, but now Xed and Sword are limited. They did get a new name, and Node is still legal. Ice, obviously, great card, but you can feel like how weak this deck is getting, in addition to 7th Tachyon being limited. So the Heraldic Beasts provide more level 4 extension, but basically in the extra deck, we are honestly going for a hand loop in this strategy, right? Because the Heraldic Beast can just spam out level 4s, we are going for Ouroboros for 3 effect activations, which is essentially ripping 3 out of our opponent's hand, which is pretty sick. And also, to be honest, the Heraldic Beast cards are pretty good. They're pretty good. We covered them in a different video, but we're going to also cover them in the Should You Buy Alliance Insight. And this is basically how they are playing Ryzeal now. It's not completely dead, but it's definitely off its throne. Another deck before we get into some of the newer decks from Justice Hunters, the Yamis, the Dragon Tails, and the K9s. This is going to be a deck that you should be looking out for, not necessarily with Primate and Blue Eyes and Dark Magician. I thought this was a really cool build, but come Alliance Insight, new field spell, and new support for White Forest, new Diabell Star, the new Diabells. These cards are exceptional. And given the correct ban list, we could see a rise of White Forest once again. They are playing the Dark Magician and Blue Eyes here because this deck can fusion summon with Azamina LZ, right? But most importantly, a way to get to Dragoon. Possibly with the Sinful Spells of the White Forest fusion spell. And we are playing, of course, Dragon's Mind and Omni Negate if you control a monster with 2500 attack or defense. Really, really good. And besides Baron the Fleur exactly, this deck is going to look very similar to what it does here. And I am a personal believer in this deck. Like, I am going to, you know, it's a lore deck at its full power, basically unhit whatsoever because RDA Bellstar and Wanted are 3, and it's not going to change, in my opinion. And of course, Primate. It's also fun to play. And another way to play with some of the new Diabellstar White Forest cards is with Regenesis. Regenesis, again, needs monsters with 2500 attack or defense in the hand to summon the Archfiend, which is the starter. It's going to add you another one. Then if you control monsters with 2500 attack or defense, or if they're just on the board, which is a very popular stat right now in the game, you can just special summon them. They're a bounce, they're a spell banished, there's an Omni Negate with the Sage, and of course the big guy. And we're just playing 3 Diabells of the White Forest. The new White Witch, which you can search with the field spell, which of course locks you out of the extra deck, but this deck doesn't care about the extra deck because the quick play that summons from deck just locks you completely out of the extra deck. And the Doom Dog here, it's basically, I think you can probably send this with Cherubini, but I don't really see a consistent way of getting to it here. But the effect is that you can basically, if it hits the graveyard, you can search for the Archfiend because it's a fiend with 2500 attack. It's a level 8 fiend, which is what the dog searches for. So this is really cool. And then we get to the good stuff. These are the new decks. Dragon Tail, even though I said it's less playable than Ascent, it's not less playable than Ascent. Okay, I'm going to be fair. I'm not currently super impressed, and I don't really see what people are seeing in this deck. I might have poor analytical skills, but I have probably 3-4 hours of testing with this deck. It's not that I'm just saying this blind. There's huge problems, but there's also huge benefits because there's a lot of good combos here. The deck just goes neg a lot, and some hands are just awkward, and turn 3s are like, if you set up the board, you probably win because the traps are insane and they draw cards. But this is basically what you can do. You can use your starter to get the fusion card. This can fuse this and another monster from the hand. Maybe you have a King of the Swamp. You can actually make Dragoon really easily. Mysterian, the Dragon Crown. The Dragon Tail boss that bounces. The Dragon Veil boss that pops cards. Honestly, really solid deck. For Wave 1, this is pretty good. And again, Yummy. Yummy's my favorite, to be honest. This is what I'm playing the most, and we found some decks that the OCG still hasn't found. Definitely not playing 3 Surprise. This one, it can bounce, but it can also summon from the grave. There's probably no need to play 3. I'm kind of thinking about it as I'm looking at it. Obedient School, this card is insane because it can summon 1, 2, 3 from the deck, which is crazy. Sangen is also a 1-card combo because it can go into All Mirage, search one of the names, special summon it. It's not an activated effect. Then you can go into a Synchro 2. I like this. I like the addition of Nemesis Corridor because if you already have your names, you can just search for Corridor, get one of your cards banished, and then summon a Colossus on top of it. And of course, the Psalm of Kings, which now playing it with Purge here, this build is getting weird a little bit. But again, you can play Cupid Pitch, Savage. If we ever get this unbanned, hopefully we can play this in Periodize map, which is going to be able to search you a copy of Cupsy Yummy, which is cool. Another deck that is seeing a rise right now in the OCG, and honestly, it was probably mostly unplayable because of Max C. It just summons way too much. Memento, looking like a TCG build, to be honest. Nothing super spicy here, but this one is probably going to take the throne. Not as the first all-best deck, but this is like a really, really solid deck that is also really good in the TCG right now. Not playing Fiendsmith, but I guess that's an option as well. And another new engine from the new Pack Justice Hunters, combined with some new support we're going to get in June. So this deck is going to be playable, but the end of 2025, probably Punk with the K9 engine. Instead of being a pure deck, the K9s are becoming an engine in some decks. So how it works is that Izuna, if your opponent activated a monster effect in the hand or grave this turn, during the main phase you can special summon it from hand, even during the opponent's turn. On summon, it sends a K9 card from deck to grave. It's going to send Lupus, which can do the same thing as she does from hand or grave. Now, when it is summoned, it has an effect to quick Xyz into our rank 5, and we play the Ripper here, and we can go up into Werewolf, essentially. Weird that they're not playing the Chronomaly, which is the rank 5 negate, but again, punk cards, new cards with the K9 engine. This was a really cool find in my opinion. Another deck that is going to come in the same set as the punk cards is going to be Orcust. I've been testing a lot against this because one of my friends, who's my best testing partner, has been testing this deck a lot. There's no way you play 3 symbol and brass. Why would you ever play brass, dude? But Sirius is another support card coming in, I believe, Alliance Inside, that is basically direct support to Dark Machines. Fiendsmith Engine makes sense, even though sometimes you're going to be locked into Darks, and then pretty solid extra deck. Like, this Link 1 is annoying and broken, dude. So this is Orcust, which I opened in 2 different tabs, and finally, the last deck that is going to be coming in the June Battles of Legend set is going to be Dragon Maids, and this was a pretty cool take in my opinion. Dragon Maid pile of just good stuff. We have Dragon Rules here. We have Dragon Maids. We have the Chaos Dragons. We have, of course, Tenpai Dragons, which are very synergistic because Sangin Kaiman can actually search for Kitchen. And the new Dragon Tail engine, which obviously has a lot to do with fusing dragons, which this deck does too. Yeah. So Grass, Left Arm Offering. Honestly, this is a treat to see. Every time I go through a pile like this, man, they have snow. They're so lucky. So yeah, but Grass is now, again, limited because of the recent ban list. Thank you so much for watching another OCG meta report. These were a pleasure to see. Like a bunch of really, really solid deck. This is basically the full picture of the OCG meta right now, and a few spicy picks as well. Thank you so much for watching again. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel if you are new. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.